All right, welcome back, everyone. Those of you who are here, and also those of you who are online, welcome back. And I hope your break was great. Having refreshment, you know, get yourself excited back for the last session, the last APRIGF session, which is the closing plenary. We'll be connecting to the Singapore event very soon. So do sit back and relax and enjoy the last APRIGF event. Thank you.
Mic test testing 1 2 1 2 1 2. Mic test testing 1 2 1 2
Hello?
1 2 1 2. Mic test testing 1 2 3 4 5. Mic test testing 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 4 5. Mic test testing 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 4 5. Mic mic test testing 1 2 3 4 5.
Can you hear me too?
Hello, hello. I can hear you, people. Can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Thank you. I'm muting myself now then. Thanks.
Hello, this is a test from the remote participation. Can you confirm that you can hear us?
I confirm. Yeah, I can hear you. You know, so-
It's for the video, right?
I believe they are still setting up the audio on site because they had to reconfigure the room for the closing ceremony.
Okay. I'll put myself on mute.
Mic check 1 2.
Okay. Can we start now?
Oh, we can hear them now.
Mic check 1 2. That's 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Mic test 1 2. Mic check.
We're good with all the experience. Are these all good?
Yes, those are good, but we are still connecting, so we want to. We haven't unmuted the system. We still need to. So
Okay.
Ruben, you change mine, is it? You change that, is it? Or change here?
yeah.
These three change.
Mike. Mike. Oh, Mike. Mike test. Testing. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mic test. Mic test. Mic test. Mic test. Mic test. Testing. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. It's all on, is it? The mic, the speakers. Yeah. Mic test. Testing. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mic test. Testing. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is it second signal? Okay, again. I settled. You settled the rest.
Mic test 1, 2. Mic check 1, 2. Mic check 1, 2. Mic test 1, 2. Mic check. Mic check. Yes. Test 1, 2. Mic test. Mic test 1, 2. Mic check 1, 2. Mic test 1, 2. Hey. 2, 2. Mic check 1, 2. Mic check 1, 2. Mic test 1, 2.
Apologies for the delay on the beginning of the session. We are dependent on Singapore to start with it.
Check.
We can only be waiting until then.
Hey.
Thank you.
Mic check. Testing 1, 2. Mic test 1, 2. Mic check. Testing 1, 2. Mic test 1, 2. Okay.
Kelvin, can you respond if you hear this?
Hi, this is Kelvin from the remote side. I can
Okay,
hear
thank
you.
you.
Can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
You're holding the other mic, right? Three, yeah?
Test 1, 2. Mic check 1, 2. Test 1, 2, 2, 2. Mic test 1. Mic check. I'm feedbacking on this one actually.
Mic check, testing 1 2 1 2 1 2. Mic test, testing 1 2 3 4 5. Mic check, checking 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 4 5. Mic check, testing 1 2 3 4 5. This is a mic test, mic test, mic test. Mic test, testing 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 4 5. Mic test, testing 1 2 3 4 5. All right, all right.
Recording in progress.
All right, hi everybody, this is Joyce. Thanks very much for joining us. I do apologize that it was quite a long wait because the stage had to be set up and do all those technical things. And so I do apologize, especially for the people who are waiting online, wondering what was happening and why nobody was saying anything. It's because the mics were being checked, the audiovisual system was being set up. So I'm going to pass the time over to Amrita to introduce herself and the speakers, and we will begin with the panel, following which we will do the closing speeches. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce, and thank you so much, everyone, for waiting patiently. I know we are standing between the closing, your shopping, cocktails, or tourism. So thank you for being with us today. And, a lot has been discussed in the last 3 days about people being at the center and envisioning a community-led internet that is inclusive, sustainable, and trusted. So we want to take this discussion a bit more further, and we have some excellent panelists here. Sorry, the screens are a bit far, so I may be craning my neck at times. We have some excellent panelists who would be sharing their perspective on how we can enhance collaboration between different stakeholders for the digital and development in Asia Pacific. And when we talk about Asia Pacific, we are diverse, not only in terms of culture, religion, geography, but also within the technological expertise which we have. And there is a huge digital development divide also. While all governments want to kind of reduce it and they are taking steps, even businesses are doing so, we also understand that it is still there, it's growing, and it needs to be addressed. And it is not a single stakeholder who can actually make it happen. It has to be a multi-stakeholder approach to kind of try to address the elephant in the room. And today, obviously, as I said, we have 4 amazing speakers, one of whom is with me in person and 3 are online. So we are on a hybrid mode, who would be discussing and deliberating and sharing what they have been doing so far and how this can be accelerated a bit more, and perhaps also touch on what APrIGF or we as a community can work on from here. So we have Tenzing Norbu here with me. She is the Director for Partnership and Operation, Program Monitoring, Communication and she is the Director Government Affairs and Public Policy in Google. We've got online Marilza Oliveira. Sorry if I have not pronounced your name well. And correct me if I've pronounced it badly. She is Director for Partnership and Operational Program Monitoring, Communication and Information from UNESCO. We have Chris Pereira, who is the Senior Director of International, External and Regulatory Affairs at AT&T. And we have Tenenoya Simona from Tuvalu Communication Corporation from the government of Tuvalu. And let me tell you, this is an all-woman panel for a change, not a panel. So I will begin with my questions, and we have 4 minutes for each of the panelists. And I will begin with Tenzing here, as in if you can share what you have been doing or your organization for digital development in the region by adopting a collaborative approach.
Oh, thank you very much, Amrita, and to my fellow panelists and everybody here. It's a pleasure to be here today, and thank you for having us. We are all, of course, very seized by, pandemic recovery, by some of the global and economic headwinds, right? And it's really brought to the fore the need for digitization, digital transformation, whether it's in the way governments provide services, people actually access services. And this is really going to be important even going forward when it comes to building resilience. So from a Google perspective, our approach to supporting recovery, being part of the recovery process, helping with resilience is really one of collaboration. And the way we do collaboration, it's part of our DNA, whether it's in the way we develop services, products, but also in the way we engage externally with governments, businesses, civil society organizations, academia, think tanks. I'd like to speak to maybe four areas. The first really is about digital skilling. Every day every year you've got millions of new to the internet users coming online for the first time across Asia Pacific in such a diverse ecosystem. And it's really important for us to focus on the right type of skilling so that both businesses as well as individuals can navigate the internet with confidence and securely. So in that spirit, we've since 2010, Google has, not 2010, 2015 actually, we've trained over 58 million people across APAC, including 3 million small and medium enterprises just in the ASEAN region on really going online. So that's one piece on the skilling side, and this has really been done in collaboration with governments as well as with, atypical partners like the Asia Foundation, among others. I talked about new to internet users, and we have a program called Be Internet Awesome that focuses on helping kids navigate the internet securely. I hope that many of your, the people in all the various countries you've come from are actually part of this. So whether it's in Bangladesh, Pakistan, the Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, it's a very active program. Just in Malaysia alone, in Thailand alone, we've trained 1 million students within a year, and we expect that this will grow exponentially. Skills for the future is another focus area, just because we know how quickly things are evolving. So we have launched the Google Career Certification that really provides a pathway into jobs for the future. And this is something that can be done online or offline, as well as really help people with the right skills that the market needs, whether it's in AI and machine learning, data analytics, or just digital marketing. Let me speak to the second theme, right? And this is really about innovation and cybersecurity. This is an ecosystem-wide challenge for everybody, whether it's government, businesses, just users on a day-to-day basis. And so we've put significant investments into cybersecurity. For example, two-factor authentication was just one of them that Google had made investments in, and it's become like the industry norm, right? But no company's actions can actually solve for cyber insecurity. So this really needs continued collaboration between governments, CSOs, companies, and such. So I hope that, we can continue to make progress. I'll look at a third piece and do it very quickly, and this is really around investments in infrastructure. Google makes significant investments in infrastructure, and just across Asia Pacific in the last, maybe between 2010 and 2019, we've made over $2 billion of investments in infrastructure to help telcos and ISPs really reduce their costs of service delivery and make it a better user experience for the end user of all types of internet services. And I think this has huge economic impact, and we'll continue to do this. And, whether it's in the form of establishing more points of presence in places where we can't have data centers and cloud regions, or whether it's really supporting a small ISP somewhere to have more caching facilities. And with this, when you think about the first three topics that I spoke on, skilling, cybersecurity, as well as investments in infrastructure, I think from a collaborative perspective, it's really important for us to collaborate to ensure that the future of the internet is open and interoperable. And I think this is where, while we see, we can't have different rules across various different countries. While we've seen certain developments from the EU, at the end of the day, the EU functions as a bloc, whereas APAC, like Amrita said, is so diverse, and having countries make rules that are very different from each other is really going to splinter the internet. And therefore, I hope that we can collaborate with each other to ensure that the rules of the road going forward allow for an open, secure, and interoperable internet. Thanks.
Thank you, Tenzin. Important lessons which Google has been doing in terms of capacity building, cybersecurity, building the infrastructure to reduce the digital divide, etc. So I will move to Marilza now. Marilza, could you share something about what UNESCO has been doing for the digital transformation in the region?
Thank you very much, Amrita. And let me just say that it's really a very important discussion that you held today. Because we certainly know that the transformative impact of everything digital is being felt by everyone around the world. It's improving our lives, and much of it is actually due because the internet has really expanded access to information and knowledge to everyone. Just an example, 782 million people came online since the onset of the pandemic, and it really made the internet a lifeline for everyone, like a Google colleague has already mentioned. And whether or not we are connected to the internet, we all benefit from the global knowledge society that we now live in. But the problem is that digitalization is not really benefiting everyone equally. Two main digital divides exist that they still prevent people, small businesses, poorer remote communities, and others from accessing knowledge and information, and thus deriving the benefits that are afforded by digital knowledge societies. And the first divide is that we have weak human-centered internet access, which for UNESCO goes beyond the issues of internet connectivity and affordability of devices, data packages, and so on, to really cover the fact that many barriers still exist to users being able to actually access information, such as too few languages online, lack of online accessibility for persons with disabilities, and other such barriers. A second divide originates from the unequal capacities to create socioeconomic value from digital technologies and digital data in a way that is responsible, it's ethical, and it's safe for everyone involved. So for us, who believe that we all benefit if everyone has full access to information resources and is empowered to play an active role in generation and exchange of knowledge, we really work to address these divides, to close the gaps that exist between those that are underconnected and those that are fully digitalized, to keep them from widening, from exacerbating the existing inequalities that that we had to face during the pandemic. But we also work to mitigate the risks that are brought about by internet platforms, such as erosion of freedom of expression, the right to privacy, biased algorithm-driven decision models that sometimes exclude or penalize vulnerable groups, increasingly exposed to cybersecurity risks, including disinformation, for example. So for us, we share with the Asia Pacific Regional IGF the objective of really working together to place people's empowerment and well-being at the center of how the internet evolves. To increase the diversity of voices online and multi-stakeholder participation in the governance of the internet, and to bring together communities in that. So for us, we facilitate international cooperation to shape a human-centered technological future. We work on various fronts in that to eliminate these digital divides. For example, we are co-founders of the UN Broadband Commission for Sustainable Development, where we advocate for inclusive infrastructure development to close existing gaps, rural, urban, gender, and others, particularly those that exist in Asia-Pacific region. In addition, we work for greening digital transformation that make sure that connectivity takes into account environmental impact, ensure that women and girls have access to STEM education and are prepared to harness the power of digital technologies. And those are all very important considerations in Asia Pacific. But the central element of our work is the generation of robust evidence for people-centered internet development. For us, the four internet universality Rome principles, and the R in Rome is human rights based, the O for open to all, the A for accessible by all, and the M for multi-stakeholder governance, which were endorsed by member states of UNESCO in 2015. They really underpin the work we do to generate this kind of evidence by having countries undertake voluntary national assessments using the indicator framework that is part of the Rome Principles and Internet Universality work. This lead to recommendations and policy decisions that lead to humanistic development of the internet. And just in Asia Pacific, so that you know, we have Thailand, Nepal, Pakistan, Uzbekistan, Indonesia, Malaysia, South Korea, Cambodia, Mongolia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan already among the 44 countries that are currently developing their voluntary national assessments using the Rome. And of course, I would like to see all Asia Pacific countries conducting their own assessments. We're also looking to scale up the Rome framework in Asia Pacific, particularly looking at the small island developing states, such as Tuvalu, Tonga, Fiji, the Solomon Islands, and Vanuatu, to make sure that we have inclusive participation and digital inclusion of vulnerable populations and smaller countries in this particular conversation. This is what we call meaningful access, and this is what we would like to see happen in Asia Pacific as well. So thank you very much for the question.
Thank you so much for raising the important aspects of what UNESCO is doing through the Rome project, including, encouraging assessment, having more human-centric internet or internet access amongst people. I'll now move to Chris, who looks more, from the AT&T, you look at the infrastructure level more. So Chris, can you share what you or your organization has been doing in terms of the digital transformation through cooperation within the APAC region? Unfortunately, Chris, I think we can't hear you yet.
Oops, I was on mute. I was going to say thank you for this opportunity to share some thoughts and ideas with you. And yeah, I also want to first thank Anju Mango, who invited me to this event, because we were at a panel. Actually, she was on the panel that I was chairing, and at the Asia Pacific Telecommunity Policy and Regulatory Forum. So it's just also shows, that the collaboration that we all can have, and that's really, good. So in terms of the question, I think when we think about digital development, there's three areas that I want to quickly touch upon. The first one is access and affordability, which kind of comes down to infrastructure and how people can access digital content and be connected. So AT&T has, I guess a lot of people maybe not aware that we have the world's largest telecommunications network, covering about 230 countries and economies. So it's covered by fiber, subsea cables, satellite, and mobile wireless coverage as well. So providing connectivity to all areas in a country or an economy is not an easy task. And so it's important to look at different technologies to provide the last mile to reach underserved communities or difficult to reach geographic locations. So one of the key things that I wanted to mention is the Universal Services Fund. This is not about saying that you should have a fund, but it's to say that if you do have a Universal Services Fund, it's important to use that to support the carriers to provide services to hard to reach and unviable or very high cost areas. So in the region, we actually contribute to a number of countries' Universal Service Funds. Examples are Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, and others. So, but in the US, for an example, there's the Connect America's Fund, which is a good example of how the US Universal Service Fund has been utilized to support the carriers to reach high cost areas. And in New Zealand, the Rural Broadband Initiative is also a great example of how the Universal Services Fund has been utilized. I happen to be the principal wireless advisor for the New Zealand government at that time. So it was a great, I feel quite fortunate to be able to be part of that when it was set up. So it's definitely something the region can look at when thinking about infrastructure and connecting unconnected. The second area, and when it comes to affordability, I guess if you use different technologies that are more easier to deploy, the cost comes down. And in the US, the government has another program which is called Lifeline, where the government provides subsidies for low-income households to be able to pay their mobile and broadband bills, something that we can think of. In terms of adoption and digital skills, we have partnered with a number of organizations and NGOs in the region. So for an example, in Singapore, we partnered with Give to Get and Care Singapore to assemble MBOTs, the mobile robots, to facilitate STEM education especially during COVID, when school children were not able to go into school. And I'm just wanted to echo what Maricela was mentioning about, the inclusive digital connectivity. So it's important to ensure that all communities have access and are able to connect. So some of the collaborations that we've done this year has been address those. So for an example, we've partnered with the Asia Foundation on a program to empower women entrepreneurs who has small and medium enterprises with digital literacy. So it's 6,000 female entrepreneurs in Malaysia and Indonesia. Another area that we partnered with is in Hong Kong with Junior Achievement. It's to help with career prospects and job shadowing, workplace immersion programs for high school kids. Another area is in Malaysia, partnering with Budera, it's an NGO, to design digital posters to raise awareness on autism and how can they become more connected and have the opportunities to connect. There's a new program that would be run from the late this year to next year called Connect Her. That is also a partnership we have with the Asia Foundation, is to create network of networks for initiative for younger female employees who are from the STEM areas, and the countries most of those mentees would come from include Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines, Cambodia, and Japan. And it's called Connect Her. So we will be providing mentoring and digital literacy tools for those young female employees of it's not from various different companies and organizations. And yeah, so
sorry, would I be able to stop you now because I need to go to the next speaker?
Sure,
Right,
sure.
sorry, because
No
we
problem.
have a participant. Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
So I'll come to Teninoya, and you come from a small island, and from the government perspective, what kind of collaborations are you doing in terms of helping the island transform digitally? And if you could restrict it to 4 minutes, that would be great. Thank you.
All right, testing, can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Thank you, Amrita, for the question, and Talofa, and warm Pacific greetings from Tuvalu. It is an honor to be invited to speak in this very important event. And I believe participants and speakers enjoy their time on site and of course online, engaging in valuable discussion around various topics related to internet governance. While we talk about digital technologies, in fact, it is opening a new chapter of economic development, creating a lot of new opportunities, such as helping us, our small island economies, survive in the new normal with COVID-19. So before I jump in the question, let me just first share with you a brief understanding and reality of our context as a small island nation. While the company that I work with is a state-owned enterprise, and the government of Tuvalu is the main shareholder. So Tuvalu consists of very small islands scattered all over the ocean with a total land area of 26 square kilometers. And it's very small, with small population living on each remote island. So the deployment of telecommunication and ICT infrastructure is always a challenge, because it is not a cost-wise investment for a small island nation. Difficult to sustain those services because it's a costly operation, let alone transportation of heavy machineries and equipments to these remote islands by small passenger boats. That's the reality. And I believe other small island nations are also facing these same challenges. As a small Pacific nation, we usually envision the building of a safe, secure, and resilient telecommunication and ICT ecosystem around the remote islands, and we seek for better emerging technology solutions that are suitable to our context, meaning instead of deploying mobile networks in each and every island, we can basically leverage emerging technologies such as mobile base station in orbit that can reach everyone in Tuvalu, including its exclusive economic zone, without deploying on-site mobile base station in each and every remote islands, which of course are costly investment for a small island nation like us. So when we talk about collaborative approach, we are a small island nation and we are vulnerable to climate change. And at the political level, they talk about climate change at all levels, national, regional, and international. However, our leaders in the region do not often come together to share initiatives, challenges, and achievement in this domain. And therefore, we pushed for the involvement of our leaders, not only at the regional level, but at the international level. So at the lower level, when we look at multi-stakeholder, at the lower level, multi-stakeholder collaboration approach is key to digital development in this region. And if I From the perspective of our company, we usually engage with global and local businesses and entrepreneurs, young people, policymakers, to foster collaboration around the responsible and sustainable use of technology. So these are best practices that should be shared among our regions with the support of our government. Our company usually participate remotely through the formation of remote hubs filled with key stakeholders that participate in hybrid IGF forum discussions, which allows the voice of our local communities to be heard by the global community. The latest successful conference that we participated in was the 2021 Pacific IGF conference. And this kind of discussion, I would say, scales up local development solutions where most of them are digital. Yeah, I think I kept myself in 4 minutes. Thank you, Marita.
Thank you so much. And thank you for keeping to the time. And it's very relevant. You know, you've raised very pertinent points and highlighted how diverse Asia Pacific is. The challenges of Tuvalu is completely different from the challenges of Nepal in terms of connectivity, and emerging technologies are something which can play a key role. So I have the next question, and it's a loaded question for all the panelists. Can you share 2 things that can be done to enhance collaboration for equitable digital transfer development in this region? Do you think a public-private partnership can play a role? And how do you envisage the role of civil society in this? So I would reverse my order. I would start with Tenonoya first and end with Tenzing, and 3 minutes each.
Okay, thank you, Amrita. Okay, I will kickstart. Well, the pandemic accelerated a massive global digital transformation that touches every part of our lives. And it also widened the gap between people who have access to digital technologies and those who don't, fostering stark inequalities across different sectors, such as education, health, and job opportunities in our region. So we are in the era of digital disruption, and if we get it right, of course, it presents a generational opportunity to close the digital divide, and also at the same time help level the playing field for us in this region. So therefore, I believe that is in this region, we require close partnership between key stakeholders, and in fact, to create a technology ecosystem with equitable access to opportunities, particularly for underserved communities around the region. And I also would like to take this opportunity that I would also like to echo the UN Secretary General's roadmap for digital cooperation and the framework presented in the Our Common Agenda report. The strategy complements the UN's global effort to expand access to affordable broadband and enhance the digital capacity of key groups, including in most particular women and people with disability, which of course create this new opportunity like jobs, while at the same time boosting human development. So access to technology is no longer an option. It's a critical piece of technology to improving the lives of millions of people, and especially those at the remote areas. When we talk about public-private partnership, which is PPPs, it can improve digitalization of the economy through effective collaboration combined with innovative efforts from the private sector, and of course, forward-thinking policies from government. Of course, support from academia and encouragement from civil society actors and organizations. In my opinion, the application of PPP will depend entirely on what type of PPP model to apply. So in the context of Tuvalu, in this sector of telco and ICT, we can select a model that is most suitable to our context. Either we go with build, operate, and transfer, where government hands over all construction and operation to a private party for a set number of years. And after that period of time, it's then transferred back to the government. And then there's another model that people implementing agency also apply to small island nation like us, which called build, operate, and own. It's the same as the POT, but the private entity this time is not required to ever transfer that project to the government. And there's some other models. In small island nations where we depend on development partners who are also the implementing agency really needs to consider a suitable PPP model in relation to the context of a small island nation or any other country to ensure better understanding and also at the same time honor and respect the role played by the government, public and private sector, and the civil society, where our cultures and our values are embedded, especially in small islands with small population. Thank you, Amrita.
Thank you. You raise an important point that it has to be customized depending upon the place, the region, and the kind of project which is being worked on. So I move on to Chris with the same question.
Thank you, Amrita. Yeah, I think in terms of public-private partnership, starting with the access, I mean, I mentioned before the Universal Service Fund, it is an example of public-private partnership, right? So that's one of the things that you can look at. But there may be other areas that, you know, their public-private partnership could work, where, you know, the industry has the know-how to be able to provide to achieve the policy objectives that the regulators or the governments are hoping to achieve. So there are various areas that could be possible. And in terms of the adoption, I think one couple of things that I was going to mention is that it definitely has to kind of be targeted to the different country or region or economy that we're thinking about. So for an example, we heard from the Samoan regulator some time ago that it's how difficult it is for the carriers to move from 2G to 3G because the seniors are not interested in getting a handset that is, you know, has more features. But then the Thai regulator mentioned that it hasn't been an issue in Thailand because the seniors also enjoy playing mahjong or other games on handsets. So it's I guess it's also like the adoption and digital skills really do play a big role in terms of adoption as well, because there's the fear of technology doesn't necessarily, you know, apply to senior citizens. It could apply to anyone. So a couple of initiatives that we've done in the US is that we could be extended to this region too. It's about how advanced technologies like virtual reality and augmented realities and how older adults respond to those. So there's a study that we had collaborated with the Stanford University and Mind VR to understand the impact of VR on older adults. So it's and in another one we've collaborated with Vitas Healthcare and studying the effects of VR on hospice patients and how, you know, the technology could enable the experience is to study how these could help reduce chronic pain and anxiety for hospice patients. So for an example, they would be calmed and distracted by the content loaded wirelessly and delivered over virtual reality. So example include that they might be, you know, they feel like they're visiting a sacred Machu Picchu journey to the Andes region or, you know, going for a hike in the Yellowstone National Park. So there are a few areas that I guess the high tech can also help with the adoption. We started from the schools from in Hong Kong as well to give a hands-on experience to students on how it can help with their education as well. So there are a few areas that I agree that we could collaborate, and thank you for this opportunity to share some of them with you.
Thank you so much. I know there's a lot to share, but we are having a paucity of time. But we encourage you to participate in the APrIGF platform. And for the people here, you can ask questions, but I have another question. First to Marilza, and we end with Tenzin, and then I have a last question for them. So Marilza, over to you.
Thank you, Amrita. Well, I'm going to recall the multi-stakeholder dimension of the Rome framework that I had mentioned before, which really underlines the importance of participation from actors from all walks of life, civil society, public, private sectors, regional organizations, technical community, academia, governments, everyone, to really work together so that we can advance human rights-based internet development and contribute to digital transformation at national, regional, and global levels. So UNESCO is a global standard setter in the area of digital transformation. We have developed a series of instruments, recommendations, guidances, such as the Open Science, Open Data, Ethics of Artificial Intelligence, ICT Competency Framework for Teachers, several others, which are flexible, adaptable to different contexts, and help to foster innovation while protecting human rights and ensuring accountability. And these global standards and guidance, they contribute to facilitating collaboration and decisions that are related to the development and use of and governance of all systems, interoperable, global scale technologies and platforms by actors in all parts of life, in all different types of actors. So let me name, two important things that can be done by the regional IGF. First, we need more voices from civil society and private sector from Asia Pacific region that can contribute to the development of new UNESCO global standards and guidance, and to the adaptation and implementation of existing ones in the region. So of course, our Asia Pacific member states already contribute greatly, but we certainly need a multi-stakeholder diverse group of voices to join this kind of effort. Now, for example, we really welcome civil society, private sector to advocate for and to contribute their ideas, their technical support and so on to voluntary Rome assessments in more Asia Pacific countries. Also, in the 21st to 23rd February next year, 2023, we'll be holding a regulatory conference on internet platform. So one of the things that we could do together, joint efforts, public-private partnership for a regional consultation on what are the critical elements that regulating platforms for, information for democracy could be done. What should be part of this framework. UNESCO is also a very big believer in building and fostering networks. So, you certainly want to make sure that all countries advance faster. And, in relation to development, use, and governance of digital technologies, specifically the internet, we certainly agree that this is done by engaging in international cooperation, to exchanging ideas, to learning from the mistakes and best practices from everyone. So a second suggestion is that the Asia Pacific Regional IGF strengthens further its community in the region and its exchanges with other regions. So I would like to extend an invitation to all members of the AP Regional IGF community and its stakeholders to join the IGF Dynamic Coalition on Internet Universality. The Dynamic Coalition has brought together a large multi-stakeholder group of partners from all 5 continents. We work together to promote the Rome framework worldwide and to support each other in the application and implementation, kind of a peer-to-peer basis. And the Asia Pacific is particularly subrepresented in this Dynamic Coalition, even though it has a large number of voluntary assessments coming through. So it's really important that we reach this network with Asia Pacific voices and perspectives. So, and of course, we want to contribute to our common agenda formulation of the Global Digital Compact. So participation from Asia Pacific in consultations regarding these principles, is what will really help us to come together on policies that connect people to the internet, that avoid internet fragmentation, that protect data, apply human rights online, and make sure that there are accountability criteria for discrimination, misleading content, and so on. So, thank you for the question. This is really important.
Thank you so much for the invitation to Marilza. And I move, as Tenzing said, from T to T. So Tenzing, over to you.
Oh, thank you. I think, equitable development is not possible without public-private partnerships. And for digital development in particular, 2 areas that really need focus through public-private partnerships is on digital skilling and on cybersecurity. For a company like Google, every product, and services safe, secure by design, private by design, and accessible by design. And this is whether it's for the differently able people or also to look at the vast variety of people who are actually accessing the services. So Google Translate, the availability of information in the languages that people speak in a locale is, is where we continue to put our efforts. But if I look at skilling, three types. One is university, industry, partnerships. So for example, in Indonesia, the Bangkit project, Google has, and a local industry, the types of Gojek, among others, have come together through a public-private partnership, reached out to 250 different universities and are basically future skilling people in Indonesia, young students, university students in Indonesia, so that once they come out of the university system, they're ready to take a job in the industry. That's one. Singapore, the Skills Initiative that is co-funded by the government of Singapore is one area where a public-private partnership works really, really well. This really looks at building the future pipeline of talent for Singapore, but also helping people who are in mid-careers to be able to pivot so that they are able to do jobs for the future. And the third, whether it's about the really marginalized community, working with CSOs, the Asia Foundation, and their network of CSOs in various countries to support mainly women-led businesses to thrive online. So I think that skilling piece is one where public-private partnerships have worked, and we all need to be doing better in order to achieve more. The second piece is on cybersecurity. As Google, we take security, privacy very seriously, and every day, make investments to keep your data secure. Give you as a user the options of your settings so that, any data is secure and private. But I think there's also a huge need for governments and civil society organizations and private sector to come together to really solve for cybersecurity issues at a societal level. This means investments, and particularly investments on both technology, the right policies, as well as basically training, so that everybody understands their role in cybersecurity. So I maybe preempt the last question and say, what do we feel we can do with APRIGF? I think this is a fantastic multi-stakeholder platform, and we need to be able to continue leveraging all of us as partners, as equals, to be able to really work on whether it's policies, on sharing lessons of experience both within and outside of APAC on equitable digital development. I think as we look to the internet of the future, an open, secure, and interoperable internet, I think this really calls for APRIGF to be a forum to help support an open, secure, and interoperable internet.
Thank you, Tenzin. I think you raise valid points that we want the internet to be open, interoperable, trusted, and we need to encourage the multi-stakeholder platform, and APRIGF could be a platform, and we invite all stakeholders to be here. And the other part is just for the speakers to know, and people who do not know, we have something called as the synthesis document, wherein whatever discussions are taking place now, we have the gist of it there, and it is open for people to comment on. Any stakeholder can comment because we come up with it and we circulate it to everyone, and even policymakers. And this is something which perhaps even all of you can look at. I'll go to the other speakers who are online and perhaps ask them in a minute or two, how do you think the discussion can be, how in your way, or what would you think APRIGF should do to take this discussion ahead? Marilza, would you like to start first?
Yeah, I'll jump in then. Thank you, Amrita. I'd say that, the regional IGF already plays such a very important role in catalyzing, insightful conversations like we're having today. So, it's really hard to say what more you could do. But, so the one thing I think that could be done more is to really ensure that Asia Pacific stakeholders are really aware of and equipped with the various holistic tools that that we can use to really enhance the quality, the human rights based quality of the digital ecosystems in which we live. And so of course we offer our own framework to help underpin the policy decisions that Asia Pacific countries need to expand the benefits of digital technologies to really everyone in the region, to provide a coherent basis for governance of digital transformation in the region, and so on. So of course, our team will look very much forward to working even closer with you on internet development and governance. We will be, I'm more than keen to help mainstream internet universality principles and apply Rome indicators in all countries in the region. And we really think that this is a good way to leave no one behind in the digital age for Asia Pacific. So one last quick point. I'd like to share that UNESCO is convening a Day Zero 3-hour event on Internet Universality and a dynamic coalition meeting in the upcoming Global IGF in Addis Ababa. And I really hope to see you all there. And let me just say a big thank you, to you, Amrita, for the good questions you've asked, and to all, speakers that are from whom I learned so much, and to all participants present and online. Thank you.
Thank you, Marilza. And I'll go to Chris.
Thank you. I think I need to echo what Mariela was mentioning. Yeah, so, the forum is doing things already. For an example, like what we had gathered here today. So you are in a position to connect policymakers with digital providers, platforms, and carriers, as well as community. So it's something you could continue to do, and we look forward to being engaged even more with you. And thank you for an excellent moderation of the panels, and thank you to all the panelists as well.
Thank you. Tenua, you're the last speaker. We may have 1 or 2 questions. I don't know. Joyce is the timekeeper. She would know that. But Tenua, over to you.
Thank you, Marita. Well, I want to echo what other speakers have said. APrIGF has been doing a very great job so far. And I would say that I think improving of regional collaborations and encourage a multi-stakeholder approach at the national level by reaching out to hear the voices of marginalized population, those with first-hand experiences on issues related to, to internet governance. But so far, I think it's been great. APrIGF doing a great job so far. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much, everyone, for patiently listening. We are done. But if you have any questions, Joyce, do we take a question or we are running late? One? Any questions? Yes, Vikram. We can just take one.
Hello. My name is Vikram Shrestha. I am from Nepal. I'm representing Nepal Internet Foundation. We are talking about this enhancing collaboration on internet and human-centric. So my questions is to Tenzing Norbu from Google. As you said that the future of internet is to collaborate and interoperable in human-centric. So is there any initiatives Google is planning to work for community in terms of building infrastructure for unconnected society in rural areas where it's unconnected?
Namaste. It's really good to get the question from you. But from a Google perspective, I think for rural communities and others, we had an initiative called Next Billion Users that really was launched from Singapore, really looking at where the next billion users are coming from and what type of services they need. While there have been lots of investments and we continue to work with telcos and ISPs, among others, to get a faster internet and a better user experience for them, I think we're looking at it more from a service perspective. So for example, there's something, a YouTube, you'd be able to access YouTube even in places where you may not have great connectivity because you have the ability to download a video and keep it, right? And so that's very useful, even in places where you don't have connectivity, but those YouTube videos can be used to educate in a rural school. That's one. The other pieces around, say, for example, mapping. So while it's not directly related to rural communities, we have services that are powered by AI that really support looking at how communities are impacted, for example, by floods. How can people living in a river basin get early information through Android alerts? You'd be happy to know that even for Nepal, people there can get Android alerts in the event of an earthquake. So, we look at human-centric type of design as well as equitable access through these lenses and not necessarily just from a connectivity perspective.
Thank you so much. Joyce, over to you.
Hi everyone, Joyce here again. What a great panel. Another round of applause. Come on, with more energy. I know we're at the end of the day in Singapore. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, wherever you are. I've already said I'm Joyce Chen from APNIC, and I'm your MC for this closing. I will try my best to manage the time, but we will exceed the time a little bit. I do ask for your forgiveness in advance. So our first speaker to give their closing remarks is Edmund Chung, head of the APrIGF Secretariat.
Thank you, Joyce, and I will use this podium. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming to this good event at APrIGF. As we draw to a close here, really at APrIGF 2022, actually APNIC 54 continues through tomorrow. And earlier, APSIG was completed along with the Youth IGF. The YIGF has actually been a really a staple component of APrIGF since its first since the first APrIGF 13 years ago. And this year, not only did we have a joint fellowship for APSIG and APrIGF, APNIC Youth Fellows also joined the Youth IGF component of APrIGF. So all of this collaboration and cross-pollination really exemplifies, I think, this year's theme of the APrIGF with people at the center. So allow me to report a little bit from the Secretariat. Furthermore, actually, there were 2 collaboration sessions also with the APNIC. One that was yesterday at the Cooperation SIG, and earlier today at the Inclusion in Tech session. We also had a collaboration session with the United Nations IGF Secretariat on the evolution of the IGF, which featured Vin Cerf, who's currently serving on the IGF leadership panel, and more importantly, His Honor Minister Timothy, who actually joined us at the opening and was participating through all 3 days here in this event. So over the last 3 days of the conference, plus day 0, actually APrIGF 2022 saw over 530 participants who checked in on site here in Singapore, coming from over 50 economies in the region and around the world, of which over 200 joined us in the opening, and then 18 full sessions and 7 showcases, which is a new format this year at the APrIGF. So 25 sessions selected in total out of 81 proposals that were received. And at the sessions, we saw an average of about 40 to 90 persons joining on site and another 30 to 60 join online. So all of this sessions are averaging about 100 people participating at each particular session. And this features also over 80 online on-site speakers and over 40 online speakers. We currently actually have here over 100 with us and another 40 online with us. And on top of that, we have 4 hub participants, hub locations in Thailand, in Bangladesh, in Malaysia, and India. Even the YIGF this year has featured a hub city participation from Taipei. So all of this, I think, is about bringing people together. And one of the features of the APrIGF, of course, is also the Fellows Program, which received 188 applications, which were 28 were selected. And it represented a great gender balance with 17 of the 28 selected identifying as female or non-binary, and coming from a geographically diverse group from the Pacific and Oceania to West Asia, North, East, South Asia as well. So let me conclude by really thanking our sponsors and also the long-term supporters of APrIGF, including APNIC and APNIC Foundation, ICANN, APTLD, and of course the UN IGF Secretariat, and this year also including Article 19. This event would not be possible without the tireless efforts, of course, from our co-host, APNIC. So especially thanks to Sunny and Blandine for their patience with us. And of course, last but not least, the great .Asia team, who you see on site here in Singapore with me. And also, actually everyone from .Asia online supporting the remote participation in this hybrid event. They are the ones that to make me look good here in this conference and be able to held successfully. So please join me in a round of applause to our co-hosts, and especially Christine Orr from the Secretariat team. So this is the first meeting coming out of the pandemic, and we look really very much forward to APrIGF regaining a bit of a momentum into the future. And the future really relies on your continued support and continued participation to make the voices from Asia Pacific better heard in the global internet governance discourse. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Edmund. Can you still see me? It's okay. Short people problems. Next, representing our youth voices, let's welcome YIGF representative Stella Teo.
Greetings. I'm Stella, and I'm honored to represent the YIGF Organizing Committee and all YIGF 2022 participants present at APrIGF 2022. This year, the theme for YIGF 2022 was Youth at Crossroads, trusting in a common future with no one left behind. We chose the word crossroads because youth signifies a transition stage in life. We are deciding whether or not we want to continue on this journey, and on a bleaker note, whether or not the next step is worth taking. Will our input be acknowledged, our ideas valued, and our voices heard? Should we even continue to participate or organize events at our current level? Questions like these are not only for youth. They may echo sentiments of others, for example, people with disabilities, and the feelings of being unwelcome, unempathized with, or unappreciated are all situations we don't want to find ourselves stuck in. However, let me share the input from our youth based on their youth policy statement and discussions. Our youth YIGF participants believe that youth are coming into their identities both online and offline. We value and acknowledge the need for capacity building and encouragement of youth participation, and they wish to highlight that digital literacy is the soil for cultivation of digital citizenship. Coming from different backgrounds and cultures, the APAC Youth Leaders Dialogue highlighted several barriers to participation, including challenges of language proficiency, lack of mentorship, and sustainability of youth engagement. But coming from our perspective, we saw that our youth participants were able to contribute constructively to the synthesis document, participating in sessions during APRIGF, and we'd like to thank them, the events and organizers, all for the opportunity given throughout this entire time supporting them. Inclusion, trust, and sustainability. We as youth acknowledge current efforts for inclusion, and not only are we trying to build trust from the community towards the youth, but also for youth towards the community. And thus we aspire to sustain youth engagement. Thank you very much for being a part of this, and thank you for allowing us to be a part of this as well.
Thanks very much, Stella. Next, please join me to welcome our co-host representative, Paul Wilson from APNIC.
Thank you, Joyce. Hi again, everyone. Very glad to be back here. I'm helping to bookend this APRIGF more or less. I'll be echoing some of the things Edmund said, actually. I really do hope you've enjoyed the past few days with both APRIGF and APNIC communities coming together here in Singapore. I've really enjoyed it. Those of us at APNIC Secretariat have really enjoyed it, seeing a bunch of people coming together, a lot of the old timers, a lot of brand new participants, a really fantastic fellows group, many people from very different corners, this time of the internet ecosystem. And after such a long break through COVID, coming together with a lot of extra energy, which is fantastic. I mean, that was really clear last night at the social event. I'm sure you enjoyed that if you managed to be there. But here in the venue, I've heard really great feedback from both kind of halves of this this joint crowd from the two different communities, from the APNIC community folk, that they really enjoyed the vibe and the diversity, the new topics, new for many of us, and the APNIC people quite surprised, in fact, at the level of interest shown by many of the APRIGF participants in the APNIC program. From the APRIGF side, especially from the young folk, I heard that people really did find interesting stuff in the mostly technical and kind of dry APNIC sessions, and that was something we all heard. But the APRIGF program this year was also very solid, and congratulations to the program committee and the MSG for that, because I mean, it had a focus on inclusion and sustainability and trust issues that we know about, or we've heard some about, but all through this lens of the people-centered internet, which is really, I think, a universal concern across this entire audience, as relevant to the APNIC audience, I can say, as it is to APRIGF. Personally, I have to say I missed more of the APRIGF program than I saw. Same for the APNIC program so far, in fact. But I'll be able to follow up the recordings and transcripts that I missed, and I recommend that you do as well, because surely everyone didn't see everything. It's all available online, and it will be for many years to come, in fact. So the event's done, but not the work of APRIGF itself. That's certainly not done. I'd encourage everyone here to participate and contribute to the finalising of the synthesis document as one of the really important products of this meeting. I think it's still unique across national and regional IGFs that this document is produced and it's able to be communicated and used and digested as one of the products of the meeting. So that'll be completed, I think, over the next month or so, and everyone can be involved with that after we get home from here. For the further future, APNIC will go on supporting the APRIGF, and I hope that we can host again in future. Thank you. Before I promise that, however, I'll say we can't do it alone. If there's something that we've learned this time is that we really do need more partners to step in, to play a bigger role, to support this extremely important event. I mean, that's with thanks to everyone who was involved, the MSG, the Secretariat, the committees, and also the sponsors. But we need to keep it up for this thing to be to continue. We need to find ways to make it sustainable. This is the last day of APRIGF, but as Edmund said, not APNIC 54. Our event continues tomorrow, and first up is our address policy session, which is actually one of the most important parts of the week for us, where the community comes together and actually mulls over and works over the IP addressing policies that actually APNIC then has to, as the registry, has to follow. That's followed by the member meeting, the APNIC member meeting in the afternoon, which is actually open to everyone, and everyone interested to learn more about what's going on at APNIC is most welcome there. So I hope to see you there, some of you at least, both here on site and those who remain online. I hope to see you at the next APRIGF, wherever that happens to be, and at another future joint IGF, APRIGF with APNIC in future. I really hope so. So it's been a pleasure. Great to see you all. Great to meet new folks here. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul, for sharing the good news to all of us. And as a community, please hold us accountable as well as our partners accountable to this. So we have with us today two special guests dialing in to speak with us. First, we have Paul Mitchell, who is the IGF MEC chair. Paul, are you still with us? It's very late for you. Thank you for joining us.
Actually, it's very early.
Oh.
Here in Seattle, it's just about 3 a.m.
Oh,
yes.
My goodness. Thank you so much for being so patient and for staying up late with us. Please go ahead.
Well, thank you. It's really a pleasure to join. It's been a remarkable experience digging in a little bit. And I want to echo the accolades around the youth participation and how important that has been. You know, with the IGF itself, the global IGF, over its past history, for a variety of reasons, it's struggled to hear from communities of several countries, including lots of countries in AP. And thankfully, to the efforts of the youth this year, we have direct multi-stakeholder input coming from countries like Myanmar and Malaysia, Vietnam, and these bring new insights and new opportunities for establishing common goals and common understandings. And I want to be careful to thank all of the participants in these efforts, because they really are critically important, especially at this time. It's a very interesting time in the land of internet governance, with so many collaborative and also conflicting policy discussions going on around internet governance topics. So I want to thank all the participants in the efforts. I hope you are aware that you're not just working to improve the situation in the local community, but for the entire world. And in a real way, everyone who is the several hundred people who've been there for this program this week, they're agents of change, and it's agents of change that the world needs. It's important to recognize the value that these meetings bring, that the discussion and fellowship programs, that they provide institutional support, they create opportunities for all of us to meet and speak and gain better understanding. The discussions, I hope, that took place over the past few days focused on different subjects, and I'm glad to hear they resulted in several concrete partnerships and action plans. They also unwrap new issues for the APRIGF. This speaks to the complexity of internet governance, but also to the rich and specific diversity of this region of the world. This effort is one that can unite communities coming from developed and developing countries, find better solutions, assist landlocked countries as well as small and big island countries that just need the opportunity to work better with the broader global universe. With the help of the members of the IGF Multi-Stakeholder Advisory Group that I chair, I hope that through this membership and also with the membership and leadership panel, I hope that I can support you in bringing the synthesis document to the attention of the global community. The input or your outputs, and can be my inputs, are really timely as the IGF is entering its final phase of preparations for the 17th annual Global IGF meeting this year in Addis Ababa from 28th of November to 2nd of December. And the ongoing intersessional work is actively collecting community input. So the synthesis document is a great example of one. The guiding theme for this year's program is resilient internet for a shared, sustainable, and common future, which is a goal I think we can all agree on. But there's much to do to realize the goal. Ongoing work to avoid internet fragmentation, safeguard human rights, improve data governance, safety, security, accountability. These topics we've been talking about since the dawn of the internet, and we will probably continue to talk about them, but for many years to come. But all of the discussion is a positive for the evolution of the ecosystem. So the work produced through the best practice forums on cybersecurity and gender and digital rights are just some of the examples of real tangible outputs. Global depends on local, and in fulfilling its mandate, the IGF needs all of you. The global IGF can't be in a vacuum. It needs to participate and interact with the regionals. There are now 155 regional IGFs, including APR-IGF. They're gathered around the world. They work together within the same framework with high principles. It gives us hope and confidence that the future is bright. So I really want to thank you for the work done this week. I want to encourage you to participate in December. And in closing, I want to again recognize the important work that's been done and acknowledge that by continuing to work together, we will also have much to report to the WSIS 20 review process in 2025, when the IGF's future will be assessed and discussed. Thank you for inviting me. Thanks for all the work that you do. And I look forward to seeing you at the upcoming 17th IGF. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Let's give a round of applause to our speaker for the very, very long closing plenary session. All right. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you everyone for staying on and joining the IO Foundations in its service to internet governance, being held by in the Malaysia hub here in iSpace TDDI. And also thank you so much for those of you who are joining online with us. It is not only the only hub here in Malaysia, but there is also hubs in Bangladesh, India, and also Thailand. Yeah, we have. I think we can go through the. Yeah, this is the picture for Bangladesh. And moving on, we have another one for India. No, we don't. Oh, that's the one. Okay, so sorry. Yeah, so a picture that represents everyone with, the honorable mentions on top of it. So, do we have? Oh man, it's okay. Right. So today is the last day to send feedback and any comment you have to the APRIGF. So please don't hesitate to send it over and to us, and we are very happy to facilitate it for you. And lastly, just a last reminder for you. So if you like to join the ICANN 75, which is on next week from the 17th, on the 17th and the 22nd of September. So please make sure to register today, and because today is the last day to register. And the IO Foundation will be also at the JOM launch on the 19th and 22nd of October at the World Trade Center, Kuala Lumpur. So you're welcome to join and come by and just drop by and just say hi and just visit it. And also announcing the Barcamp Cyberjaya on the 2nd of October at the FCI Atrium in Multimedia University Cyberjaya. You may chat or approach any of the IO Foundation's person for any assistance. And with that, we conclude here, and thank you for being with us for the last 3 days. And thank you. See you again sometime soon. Thank you.